All right, so this week, guys, we're going to be taking a look at some hopefully familiar calculations that you have practiced in the past. We're looking at finding area and perimeter of shapes. So again, basic fundamentals when it comes to geometry. So we're going to review those here in this first unit. So specifically, let's take a look at perimeter. So the definition, it's important to know what it is in order to be able to successfully figure out the value. So as far as perimeter, when you're asked to find the perimeter of something, you are asked to find the total distance around a figure. Now, the general formula of it, I'm going to reference these two pictures at the bottom. The general formula that you should remember learning is that perimeter is 2L plus 2W. And we talked about that you're adding, the operation is addition, because I'm finding the total distance around a figure, the sum of the measurements around a figure. So we would be using the operation of add. You can also think of it as, if I look at a traditional square or rectangle, I have two lengths, that's why they're listed as 2L, same thing as L plus L. And 2W, I have two widths that are exactly the same measurement. So I have two W's or two 5s. Now, if you like to kind of just in your calculator work your way around the figure, that completely works too. So you can also think of perimeter is L plus W plus L plus W. Either one of those guys is going to get you to the correct answer. So calculating this one below, I like to walk around my figures, 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5. So when you add up all those values, and I would say if you're not good with mental math or just for a check, use a calculator and add in all those values. And you'll find that you get an answer or perimeter of 24 centimeters. And just to kind of point out to you, 2 centimeters, the unit is extremely important, guys, as well as in your answer, because it gives you a frame of reference of how large or how small. So you want to make sure that you include that in your answer, not just the number value. So looking at the shape on the right, you should notice it's irregular, doesn't have, two lengths and two widths. So looking at that, when we looked at this square figure, we walked around it to add up, or you could use the standardized formula. If you're given an irregular shape, again, you're looking at the distance around the figure. So if we look at the definition, another way you could look at a formula for perimeter is you're adding up all sides. So if I would do that for here, 9 plus 5 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8, you should come out with 32. And again, I'm going to make sure to include my label there, 32 meters. Sometimes you're just given measurements of a standard shape. If there are only two given values, I just want to point out to you that you can assume that it's a rectangle or square, meaning that there are two lengths and two widths. So in these types of examples, these are the most simplistic ones. Once you realize that it has to be a rectangle or a square, you're going to add up 18 plus 18 or 2L plus 12 plus 12 or 2 12s. And you should find your perimeter to be 60 inches. Same over here. Even if you've got decimals, use the calculator, guys. If you feel uncomfortable with the decimals, you would add them up. 2 L's plus 2 W's. And you should find that you get 15 meters. And again, making sure that you're including the labels. Okay, where it can kind of get a little bit more complex is when you do not have, going kind of back to visual shapes, when you do not have all the side measurements labeled, so you need to figure them out first before finding the area, or I'm sorry, finding the perimeter of the shape. Okay, so taking a look at these examples, the first one's pretty basic. Again, you're looking at a rectangle measurement. So you can assume that my lengths are the same. So this top value is going to be a 7, and this side width value is going to be a 4 because it's a rectangle and they should match. So 7 plus 7 plus 4 plus 4, or walk away around the figure. Any of those methods will work. And you get a perimeter of 22. Now this one, kind of an error on my part, does not have any measurements. So if you would happen to see one, you can just do the basic number and no measurements. Okay, taking a look at the second and third example, this is kind of where it can get a little bit trickier. So if you take a look, you have two measurements that are incomplete. However, both require you to kind of make some calls on what some of those values are, and we are able to tell that. So the first one I want you to kind of take a look at is this bottom line. You need a measurement there. Okay, now that bottom line is horizontal. Okay, so we're going to look at the two horizontal measurements I do know. 6 centimeters and 2 centimeters. Again, I'm going for the same kind of orientation of line. Those are all the horizontal line in my figure. Okay, so if I look at this green line and I look at my 2 red lines, you should hopefully be able to see the relationship between those. If I would take my 6 centimeters and subtract these 2 centimeters from it, so in a sense, it's like I'm shortening this line. Let's see if I can do this. Shortening this line and taking off 2 centimeters, right? And then if you look, if I could, let's see if I can do this, if I can drag this down, that is the same measurement of my green line. So again, I started with my entire 6 meters, and I'm in a sense subtracting this portion. Okay, guys, I'm subtracting it. So 6 minus 2 is going to give me 4. So let me come over here and let's just put in there 4 so I don't forget that's what that was. So green line is 4. Then if I take a look at my other missing side, which would be my vertical line. Again, I'm going to use that same technique. My vertical lines I'm going to highlight here. So I've got my green mystery line, and I've got 2 other vertical lines in my figure. I've got a 4 and a 3. Now, if I take a look at the relationship between my big green line and my red lines, hopefully you should see if I would actually just drag, I don't know if it's going to let me do it this time. It likes to put them together. If I'm going to drag this line over, okay, just so you can visually see it, this is now the same length as my green line. So as far as operations, I actually put those 2 lines together. So 4 plus 3 is going to give you a value of 7. So there's a little bit more work on these type of problems with the mystery sides that you might, like the first one, be able just to tell, but in the second one, we are actually calculating it based on other sides in the figure. So now that you have all of the side measurements identified, you are able to find the perimeter by simply adding up all the totals or all the side values. So 6 plus 4 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and then plus 7 is going to give you the value of 26. So my perimeter for this middle problem is 26. And again, including those labels. One more example for you like that, and I know that this is kind of the harder set of problems, but this is what we're really kind of focusing in on. So again, if I look at my figure here, I actually only have one side that I need to identify. Okay, actually, I'm going to keep the same colors I had before. So let's go and highlight. This is the side I need to find. Okay. Now again, I'm using all the horizontal lines and their relationships in order to tell what is going on. So there's more lines this time that are horizontal. If I look at it, the relationship between my red and my green line, all my reds and my green, and see if this helps you. If I drag these down, do you see how that makes the same length as the bottom, right? Now my line is the same length as the bottom, but I only want to know what this green portion is. So this side is 2 and this side is 3. So together they are 5 centimeters, and we're going to take it away from 9. Okay, so we're kind of like, again, we're kind of chopping off my 3-inch and chopping off the 2-inch from over here, and then you see how that lines itself up? Sorry guys, I'm kind of moving all sorts of stuff, but hopefully you can follow this visual. So I am subtracting the 3 and the 2 from my 9. So 9 minus 5 is going to give you 4. So my answer for this last problem, an example, would be 4 centimeters for that missing side. So that was kind of the work to figure out my perimeter. Now that I have all my sides listed, same kind of procedure, I'm going to add them all up and see what we get. So I'm going to start here at the top at 4. So I'm going to say 4 plus 2 plus 4 that we just found, plus 3 plus 6 plus 9, and last but not least, that left-hand side of 5. And you get your answer of 36, and again, I'm including my labels of centimeters. So what I would like for you to do, again, I'm hoping that this was more of a review. Those last 2 problems might have been a little bit more difficult, but we're going to get more practice with them. So I want to see how we are, how comfortable and how efficient we are at just calculating some perimeter values. So what I would like you to do is grab yourself a piece of paper, pause this video, grab yourself some paper. When you're ready, jump back on and we'll go through the assignment. All right, so now that you have a pencil and paper, the first thing I want you to do is number from 1 to 10. And then as you're working through this video, I'm going to read the problem, kind of discuss it with you a little bit. But I want you to choose the best answer for each. You can pause this video, take your time in your calculations, and work at your own pace. So after you've numbered, number 1, which best describes perimeter? A, the total distance around a 2D flat figure. B, half of the distance around the figure. Or is it C, the sum of the numbers you see around a shape? Okay, number 2, what is the perimeter of this shape? A, 44 centimeters, B, 38 centimeters, or C, 50 centimeters? Okay, number 3, calculate the perimeter of this shape. Number 4, what is the perimeter of the shape that you see? And again, you should see some missing values, so make sure that you figure out those missing sides first before you find the perimeter. Okay, problem number 5, what's the perimeter of this shape? Number 6, what is the perimeter if you are given the following measurements of a rectangle? So your length is 3.5 yards and your width is 5 yards. So go ahead and find the perimeter of that shape. Okay, number 7, another one, given measurements of a rectangle. This time your rectangle's length is 4 feet and your width is 6. Okay, number 8. For this problem, I just want you to tell me, because if you see there is a question mark here in the middle, I want you to tell me the value of that side. How long is just this portion of my figure? Okay, so number 9, you're going to use what you had for number 8. You have figured out this missing side, so use that to calculate the whole entire perimeter, the distance around this shape, and your options are right here, A, B, or C. Okay, last but not least, this is number 10. Now this is just using the information that we looked at. So Arthur and Bella, they each used 3 10 by 15 centimeter photo frames to make the following rectangles. Because again, in your house, you have freedom to interpret how you want. So if these two people bought picture frames, Arthur's rectangle, he's going to lay his out horizontally next to each other. Each side, each length is 15 and the width is 10. Bella came home and she put hers vertically next to each other. So again, the same measurements of those picture frames. So the question to you is whose configuration of their photo frames has the greatest perimeter? And your options are A, was it Arthur's rectangle? B, Bella's rectangle? Or C, do they have the same perimeter? So when you're finished, you're going to submit your answers 1 through 10 on a text box submission. So once you're done with this, go ahead and close it out. Go ahead and hit submit and answer those questions again, 1 through 10, in the text box submission to receive credit. Good luck.